Okay, this game was made with Unity. This is another new game for this channel, Raging Loop, as y'all know it. This game is a work of fiction. It is unrelated to any real people, groups, incidents, and etc. This game contains violence and grotesque descriptions and psychological horror. So that's where we're going. So this is presented by Chemco. Alright. Raging Loop. Here we are in spooky months. We got Don Wongo as the creators. Oh. Okay. Guess this game is in Japanese or Korean. Cool. Okay, so this game is in another language, so I am going to be reading the male parts, and I'm gonna just leave the the female characters speaking. Once again, going into this game blind, so we don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to be in a raging loop apparently, and we're going to go on this fun little adventure during spooky months. You know, this is supposed to be a scary, supposedly. Keyword is supposedly. I don't know. We're going to go on the adventure. Right, let's get this started.
繰り返される絶望と悲嘆の果て、人狼村の真実をどうかその目でご覧くださいませ。ペコリ。
I closed in on the side of the road and killed the engine. I was steeper than I thought. My bike was on the verge of giving out, so I pushed down and deployed the kickstand. Well, I'm lost. Maybe taking a ride down on an unknown road with no stuff on wasn't the greatest idea. I just followed the road, so I figured I wouldn't get lost, but now I was in some deep shit. No, cool it. This isn't a big deal. I sighed and took a note in the fact that I've gotten lost in my pocket journal and then pulled out my map. Whatever. Suddenly a rush of memories filtered into my mind. Okay, key 4. Nah? I guess I'll forget it. Whatever. That's what I'm gonna do. Somehow I kept myself from remembering those things. After all, I had gone on this trip to forget. Enough of that. I gotta focus on what's happening right now. Life is simple, just like this road. It's dark and there aren't any guides, but that means all you gotta do is think about whether you go forward or back. Going back wasn't an option in this case, so I guess I'll just move forward. Still, I wanted to know where I was. At least I looked down at my map. It was all Greek to me. Last time I seen a sign, it was still light out, meaning I've gotten lost after the sun had set. sure it was my own fault for guessing which intersection I had been passing through, and it's taken me 2 hours to conclude I was lost. Crazy to think that just 2 hours of aimless driving got me almost completely surrounded by mountains. They extended as far as the eye can see. If you flipped the scenery upside down and shook it, it's unlikely even a shred of civilization would tumble out. Besides the asphalt below my sweet ride and the lampposts above, the first one in a while, mind you, there is nothing man-made here. It's pretty much the middle of nowhere, but that's all good. You know, the pocket map, I wasn't detailed enough for me to figure out where I was. Guess I'll just keep driving. I'd go as far as I could. Worst comes to worst, I could just camp out on the side of the road. Two hours later, I deeply regretted ever thinking that. Basically, camping wasn't an option. The mountain road had no sides to camp on. A dump truck I'd passed barely even fit on it. I'd also had my first encounter ever with the wild forest animals. I've already seen 2 boars and 3 deers in just 2 hours alone. One of the deers had ran parallel to my bike while intently staring at me. I had no idea what to think of that. I felt like it could smell my fear and did just make it worse. How dare that thing come to a human? We're the kings of the planet, damn it. I'd had to remember to eat some vision once I came back to civilization. Anyways, camping out here was a bad idea. I'd end up either roadkill or animal food. And yet, I didn't back out. Why? Because I'm a pretty warped sort of guy. I won't pretend otherwise. This was actually the reason why my once comfortable relationship had gone wary, and why I had gone on this stupid trip. Still, despite acknowledging that, I chose to keep moving forward. It wasn't like I'd find a place to stay if I went back. I was actually starting to think that this experience might be a good conversation piece sometime down the road. It was really getting late at this point. Where would these roads take me anyway? It'd probably be disappointing soon enough. The road became flat and I was out of the mountain pass. The forest remained abundant though, so I still didn't see much. Even so, the street lights and the signs were enough to make me feel I was again nearing civilization. Was streetlights the right impression for light in a forest? I'd have to look that up. As the road grew less rugged, I realized just how exhausted I was. All this biking had left my hands really sore too. I had to rest. I really had to rest. Suddenly I saw something unexpected. Powerful, colorful, artificial lights. A convenience store? That was what it was. The first next to the intersection between the road I was on and another even thinner road that I could probably support only a single car. It probably could only support a single car. Also, fresh marquee. Not market, but marquee. Like Mars and then key. The sea of the trees ended, giving room for the majestic child of our consumerism society. Yeah, that was an exaggeration. Apparently even a damn sword was a big deal for someone who just stepped out of the wild. It was called Fresh Marquee. I'd seen several of them a few times during the day. It was probably just a local franchise. The building didn't even look at all old. At least the parking lot looked a lot smoother compared to the road. This was a pretty weird place to build something like that, though. Was they just close to a settlement, or did they actually make a profit off of lost travelers? I just asked that or something. A local shopkeeper was bound to know what was around these parts, not to mention I was thirsty. Like, I just really needed a drink. I was welcomed by a weird chime sound. It looked like a normal convenience store. There were goods on the shelves, a counter on the left, and whoa, the work at the counter was mean looking and was scary. She was imposing. I wouldn't have doubted if someone had told me she was in charge of some ladies' armies corp. Was that supposed to be a greeting? It was so damn cold, it actually gave me chills. Was this store shadier than I appeared? Was I about to be stupidly overcharged? Was this place made a profit by taking advantage of lost people and basically beating them out of their money? Shit, that was scary. Clearly, the Wonderland had only just began. Woohoo! I was just so excited for the beating, I grew more nervous and less ecstatic by the second. I braced myself, but she looked down at the magazine in her hand. Oh, she was just a slacker. Slightly disappointed, I walked around the store. It's about what you expect. There's a small shelf with energy drinks, followed by some stationery, travel goods, terry stuff, and etc. You know, like things like Venom, Nos, Amp, Mountain Dews, oatmeal cream pies. We got that all here at Fresh Marquee. But you know, there was nothing too different from a regular gas station. There were sweets that came with toys, a shelf of cup ramen, dried fruit, a fridge, a freezer. It all looked around. It was so late, so the daily dish and packed lunch section was completely empty. The only thing about this place was the section of fully unpacked vegetables you expect to see at a green grocer's. Maybe all the royal convenience stores were like this. I was slightly surprised by that, but there weren't any local fine foods and anything, so at all in all, it was an unremarkable store, if you ignore the clerk that was, in a way. I took a drink and I bought it at the register. Yep, she really was the highlight of this place. What kind of clerk smokes drink dealing with a customer? Yeah, I'm actually buying. Yes, I was actually buying. She was the clerk and I'd be her god, the customer. She didn't even scan it. This exchange was at the mercy of the clerk. God is dead. Maybe I had to get madder. Can I ask you something? I'm kind of lost right now. I quickly meeked. Where can I find the nearest town? Don't you have a map or something? Man, this woman. I'm not sure I believe that convenience store often gets asked for directions. You must have a map handy. I've been lost for a few hours and I don't think I can keep it up for much longer. She had to be joking. I appreciate the settlement, but I'd rather be on my way. Are you sure you can't help? The clerk put out her smoke in the ashtray and went to the staff-only area. She came back in no time. So she did have a map. Of course she did. Even more ill-tempered than usual, the clerk stated in explanation. Uh-huh, so there's...
しばらくしたら立教があっから渡れ。最初の分岐のとこに大岩があっからそこを右折してあとは直線。
Oh, this road? There's nothing there.
書かれてねえだけで集落があんだよ。
Oh, do you even know any other
吉
places?
村まで行くには峠道を2時間。こっちなら30分で着く。
Fujiyoshi seemed to be a village. It didn't look too far away, but the road leading to it was huge, branching mess. It was clearly just a paved mountain pass. Had enough of those for one day. Probably just get lost again, to be honest. I'll just go to that one. Thank you.
金
Excuse me?
払ってねえだろ。茶のやつ。
Oh, here's 500 yen. Why did you just put the change in the collection box without asking me?
小銭多いとうぜえだろ。
That was one hell of a line. I usually thanked her, grabbed the plastic bottle of tea. She didn't give me a bag, by the way. Then she left the store. I drank the tea in the parking lot and looked at the moon, obscured by clouds, but still bright enough to outshine the light of the convenience store. The clerk put in a bad mood, though. I didn't enjoy the sight. I threw the bottle into a nearby trash can and aggressively drove away. Following the directions, I crossed the overpass and arrived at the first fork in the road. You know, I think this is a good place to stop, guys. Like, we're getting to the first fork. We just passed a convenience store. We met a lady. I was lost in the middle of nowhere. And I just want to say thank y'all for watching this video. If you want to see more, just like, comment, subscribe. Check out more. There will be more for spooky months during this time. So I'm just going to save here. But once again, I just want to say thank you. And I'll see you guys in the next one.